A better way to pay your UTG fees with instant proof of payment and real-time student portal update. Paying your University of the Gambia fees has never been easier or more convenient. With EcoBank, students, parents and guardians can pay UTG tuition and related fees through our secure digital banking channels such as EcoBank mobile app, EcoBank Online and EcoBank Omni Lite. Once payment is completed, instant proof of payment is generated and the UTG student portal is updated in real time, allowing students to proceed immediately with registration, course selection, and clearance without unnecessary delays, while giving parents and guardians peace of mind that payments have been successfully processed. How to pay via the EcoBank mobile app. Open the EcoBank mobile app and navigate to the home screen. Select Pay Bill, choose Pay a New Bill and select Schools from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. How to pay via EcoBank Online or Omni Lite. Log in to EcoBank Online and Omni Lite using your credentials. Select the menu and choose Bill Payments. Choose Quick Bill Pay and select School from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. Walk into any EcoBank branch or pay through our digital channels and enjoy instant proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Santa Yala.
Nga xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay nag doo ci yokk dara.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
It's almost 12 minutes past 8 o'clock in the morning, Thursday, the 11th of June, 2026, and you're with Coffee Time with Peter Gomez. It's the opening hour, and joining us now is Dr. Usman Gagigo, an economist and an analyst, who's also been active in opposition politics, we need to qualify. Today, however, he's here to help us unpack the Gambia's electricity crisis. This is one thing that he closely follows. He's going to talk to us about its immediate effects, the short-term outlook, and the role of regional projects like OMVG in shaping solutions. Dr. Gagigo, always a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Thank you. It's always good to be here.
And I understand while myself, Aji, Martin here in the studio spent the whole night without electricity, you were enjoying uninterrupted power supply. Just so that you don't come here this morning and criticize.
I wish. I wish. I actually spent most of this past weekend up country in URR, where before I left, I was informed through NAWEC press releases that those parts were getting, stable electricity.
Oh.
That's the story we had, that this was restricted to the West Coast and Greater Banjul area. Yeah. Unfortunately, that was not the case. In fact, the last day I came here, they had power blackout for at least 15 hours.
Goodness me.
Yeah. From 8 p.m. the night before until noon the following day, pretty much no power. And it continued the day after. So yeah, I wish I had uninterrupted power.
Well,
but,
it's the norm here.
Yeah.
I don't know of. Well, let me speak for my area, London Corner.
Right.
All right. We don't get in 24 hours anything near 8 hours of supply.
It's similar to Brusubi. I live in Brusubi, and it's similar. So
if they're going off 15 hours, we're going off 16 hours plus every day.
Exactly.
Every day.
Exactly.
All right. And maybe it's your fault that the URR people were suffering. Everything was okay until you arrived.
Until I arrived. Yeah, I think somehow. So I'm just going to ask now people to stop monitoring me so that this blackout doesn't follow me.
Now, seriously, what are the most immediate social and economic consequences of this energy crisis?
No, I mean, this thing, it is so pervasive and widespread. You'll be hard-pressed to name a single entity or sphere of life that's not affected. I mean, let me, as an economist, let me focus on the economic consequences. Yes. I mean, on businesses, you can think of like having like three classes of business. I mean, just for the sake of this particular argument, you have businesses that, because of these blackouts, like they have the option of backup generator, but we all know the cost of diesel. So their cost will go up significantly. Mm-hmm. You have some businesses that, this thing will cause a disruption in their activities, and, it's going to reduce their output, their profitability, same as the first class of businesses. Mm-hmm. And then you have the majority of businesses in the Gambia that are micro and SMEs, more on the S side than the M side, small and micro enterprises. These businesses don't have the option of backup power. So if they have any dependence on electricity for their operations or any part of their economic activity, they're going to effectively shut down. And this is the sort of, we're not talking about limited blackouts where you can plan your production around. As you just mentioned, when you have 15 hours, that's pretty much the better part of the day, since you're going to have to sleep
2/3 of the day.
Yeah. So you have this class of businesses that are going to effectively cease operation. So what this does is basically going to cause, business activity to basically, forget about minor disruptions, things like that. It's just going to decimate businesses. And it doesn't mean that as soon as electricity is restored to what it was before, things are just going to pick up. When businesses get to the point where they shed workers, where they shut down operations, starting again, you might as well start from zero, because losses just become very difficult to surmount. The other thing that is very important here is that the manufacturing sector, unlike services and agriculture in the Gambia, which to some extent, some of them can operate without power, manufacturing is a sector that definitely is absolutely critical for there not only to be, abundant power, but it has to be reliable, it has to be affordable. And in the Gambia here, this is the one sector which is a very minuscule part. Our economy is dominated by agriculture and services. So in order for our economy to grow, in order for us to have structural change, we need a thriving manufacturing sector. It needs to expand beyond its current size of just single digits. So when you have a situation like this, you are basically just taking that thing back years, and then foreign investors, which obviously need, who when they are coming, we want them to come in this sector. No one is going to give a second look to a small country that's, experiencing such major electricity problems when you have neighboring countries nearby where things are working relatively well. So on the economic side, this is disastrous for the economy, and we'll have to check later, maybe towards the end of the year, well after this crisis is over or has reduced, to really assess its impact. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of crisis being over in the short term, what realistic measures can be taken to stabilize supply?
No, listen, in the short term, the only thing that can really help us here is if Senegal increases its export of electricity. That's the only thing. There are all sort of things you hear this government talks about, parts coming, generators being ordered from China. I mean, I've heard from some government supporters make that claim. I don't know if it's true or not, but all of those things are not realistic. Even a small power plant, if you want to build it new, like you're talking about a minimum of 1 year. Like I've been, there's this project that the Minister of Information, I think, and other people in government they kept mentioning this supposed solar power plant in Soma, 150 megawatts. In the best case scenario, let's say everything is ready right now. You have all of the financing, all the equipment, brought in. You're looking at about 2 years for something of that scale to be built. I'm aware of projects that were financed when we were at ADB. These were smaller solar power plants, something like 30 megawatts. Those take at least 1 year to build. Oh, wow. And they had full financing. 150 megawatts.
It's 5 times 30.
Yeah, I mean...
So you're looking at minimum 5 years.
That's assuming you have everything in place. Okay. Yeah, probably not 5 years because, things scale a bit and, but around 2 years.
But have you done any, research like you normally do to establish the veracity of the claim, 150 megawatts, World Bank project?
Yeah, there are actually a lot of doubtful claims here. Number one, to build a 150 megawatt plant, and supposedly that's going to be financed by the World Bank, you will be hearing about that not only from the Gambia government, but you also hear it from the World Bank, number one. And to the best of my knowledge, I have not seen anything to that effect. Okay. Number two, the cost of that. World Bank is not going to finance a 150 megawatt power plant, as a grant. The amount is simply too high. A plant of that nature, based on similar power plants that we've been involved in when I was at ADB, a 150 megawatt solar power plant, if it's going to be a solar voltaic cell, will cost at least $180 million. That amount is far higher than whatever funding allocation the World Bank has for the Gambia on a given time period. You see, World Bank or ADB, these are development institutions, but they're also banks. As any banking institution, there is what is called you have an exposure limit. So with these institutions, you have like a sustainable lending limit. So for both World Bank and ADB, the size of any project that they can finance in the Gambia in a given year probably will not exceed more than $50 million. And we are talking about 150 megawatt power plant, which will cost 3 times that amount. The only project in the Gambia you have here that's been financed by a similar institution like the ADB, that is close to 100 million, is the Senegambia Bridge. But that one is a unique case. It is not actually a national project. It was financed as a regional initiative. In fact, the bigger component of its financing was the allocation from Senegal. Oh. So it was allocation from 2 countries that made it possible to finance that project. That was, in fact, slightly less than 100 million. It was like 90-something million.
This is interesting. It's the first time I'm hearing about an allocation from Senegal. Talking about the Senegambia Bridge. Is that why Senegal at some point, or Macky Sall to be precise, at some point, told Senegalese that he promised them to put a bridge across the Bamba-Tenda, Yili-Tenda, river crossing, and he had done that.
Well,
literally claiming that Senegal built the what was supposed to be called Trans-Gambia Bridge, and suddenly, went from Trans-Gambia to Senegambia.
Yeah, I'm not quite clear about the name change, but yes, it was a grant project, first of all. It's not technically true to say that either Senegal built it or Gambia built it. It wasn't even a loan. It was completely grant.
A grant, yes.
But the allocation, Gambia's only allocation that ADB could have given from what Gambia was owed to was less than 50 million.
Okay.
So it was built.
So it was the allocation to the Gambia plus the allocation to Senegal.
Senegal, yes.
Which was bigger than the allocation to the Gambia.
Absolutely.
That built the Senegambia Bridge.
Yes. So it wasn't something that was solely built by Gambia. So Senegal contributed, and their allocation was actually higher.
This is new knowledge for most of us. I mean, you talk about power, coming from Senegal to help us, solve the crisis. What about the OMVG? Because much is made of the OMVG interconnection project
Yeah.
to solving our problems. How critical is that?
No, I mean that one was it's a critical project. It's a very important project. We should be glad that development institutions like ADB and the World Bank finance it. But I've been concerned with by a lot of misinformation from the government with regards to the OMVG project, what it can do, what it cannot do. So just a bit of a background. It's two projects actually.
Okay.
You have one project which is only an interconnection. So it basically builds transmission lines connecting the four countries: Gambia, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, and Guinea-Conakry.
Yeah, I just say Gambia, Senegal, and the two Guineas.
Yes, the two Guineas, exactly. So you have that interconnection. So it enables countries to have an integrated energy so that one country can, countries with surplus power can sell it to those countries in need. And also, by having a good interconnection, those countries can also connect to other countries in West Africa. So you have what is called this West African power pool. Then you have a second component, which is a generation part. That is the dam that is being built at the Senegal-Guinea border on River Gambia, called the Sambangalu Dam. It's currently under construction. It's not done.
Okay. That's interesting. On the Senegal-Guinea border.
Yes.
But on the river, across,
On River Gambia.
Okay.
Yes. That one is going to have a generation capacity of 128 megawatts. But again, it's a regional project, so it's going to be shared with 4 countries. So when you hear what I've heard from the government, in multiple occasions that once the OMVG is done, all our energy needs. I believe Anambra once said this, a few years back during a meeting with the when the elders of Banjul were visiting him. He said something to the effect that once the OMVG project is done, our energy project would all be solved. And I remember thinking, who supplied him with such, bad piece of information?
His advisors. Who else could it be? unless maybe he called you in secretly.
Well, not me. So I was quite surprised. Yeah. The fact is that OMVG will help, but like many things in the world, outside help only becomes beneficial if you yourself have taken appropriate steps. So, when OMVG was being designed as a project, the belief was that actually a lot of the power that would be traded among those 4 countries would be coming from Guinea, because Guinea has the biggest hydropower potential. In fact, at the time when this project was being designed, 3 dams were planned for Guinea. 2 of those dams have already been constructed, by Guinea. Those are not part of OMVG, but they are already constructed within Guinea, and they were financed by the Chinese, financed and constructed by the Chinese.
Okay.
Together those 2 dams, have close to 800 megawatts. Huge boost.
800.
800.
Yeah, we are looking forward to 150. They have 800.
Yeah, but the thing is, Guinea is a big country, and they have industries that are power hungry. So despite that big boost in production, Guinea still needs power. They still buy power from Senegal. In fact, recently, 2 years ago, they signed an agreement to buy 124 megawatts from Senegal. Oh, wow. So that hope that was there at the beginning no longer materialized because things have changed. And so, in fact, instead of Guinea being a net supplier, it's actually buying electricity. So this is the issue here. OMVG would, it's still good for the Gambia, but its impact would have been far better if we had been investing in our own domestic generation, so that the extra power that comes from there would just add to the resilience of our energy infrastructure. So it would be like, suppose there's a global shock in oil, then, we could increase our importation of hydropower, which is far cheaper than, electricity generated from fossil fuels like heavy fuel oil.
Okay.
But, we are in this situation right now where we've been expanding electricity access across the whole country with zero, investment in generation. So all of a sudden, there's been some sort of global shock. NAWEC doesn't pay its bill to Senegal. Senegal has other clients.
It doesn't pay, completely.
Yes.
I'm sure if they never paid from the beginning, they would not have lasted.
Yeah, well,
they have arrears.
Let's say they have arrears,
yes.
And these are not minor arrears.
Huge arrears.
These are huge arrears.
Yes, absolutely.
So, so the interconnection, it cuts both ways. Like many good things in technology, it has a bad or good effect. Now, the interconnection, the positive side is that if we need power, we can buy power from Guinea, the two Guineas or Senegal. But it also means anyone among the four countries can sell to any other country. So if you have this situation where one country pays on time, another country has arrears, you're not going to prioritize the countries. Yeah. So should we be surprised that Senegal has reduced its supply of electricity to the Gambia when it can actually easily sell to Guinea, as it's currently doing? Because Guinea signed that contract with Senegal just 2 years ago. Yeah, and we are, as far as I know, we've not been hearing about Guinea having major arrears with Senegal.
In fact, when we spoke to NAWEC, the issue of arrears never came up. What we were told was Senegal has a technical problem. Guinea, on account of the geopolitical situation in the Gulf, that's why. But once Senegal solves its technical problems, we will go back to getting, the electricity we used to get from them. But away from that.
Yeah.
So Senegal sells to us, sells to Guinea, Guinea sells to us. I don't know if Guinea-Bissau sells to anybody. But apparently we've been selling without Gambians knowing. What did you make of?
Well, I heard that comment from Adama Barrow that we've been selling power, which is news to me. And I think it may be even news to the NAWEC people, because they had a press conference, a major press conference, and I would have thought that would have been a relevant piece of information to divulge to the public. Listen, the reality is we don't sell electricity to Senegal. We cannot, because we don't have, to sell something you need to have surplus production. We have a huge deficit in generation. Currently what we are generating is significantly less than 50 megawatts, close to like maybe 30. Our demand is over 100. The deficit that we have is almost, more than twice of what we produce. Why would we be selling? And let's also ask ourselves, if you are a leader of a country, you know that when you came into power, Gambia has an electricity deficit. And we've had that for a while, And then officials, let's say advisors or officials come to you and tell you that we also, sometimes, Mr. President, we sell power to Senegal. I mean, the first thing you should do is ask, why in the world would we be selling electricity to Senegal when we have such a major deficit?
No, I would say bring the documents to prove that we have signed an agreement with Senegal to sell them power.
And also, when you bring those documents, please bring your resignation letters as well. Because that would be a major. It would be like if somebody says today, we also export, rice. We import 90% of our rice, but sometimes we also export rice. It doesn't make sense.
No, doesn't at all.
But if let's say there's a Gambian state-owned enterprise engaged in agriculture, is producing rice, and their CEO or their MD comes to you as a president and tells you that, Mr. President, we also sometimes sell rice. I mean, again, like you said, I would ask for evidence to that effect, and then the next thing would be like, please bring your resignation letter for economic malpractice. Yeah. The reality is that we don't. So that was the time when NAWEC actually in their press release they complained about misinformation. But like I said, the biggest piece of misinformation, verifiably and demonstrably false information, is actually from the government, because this claim that we sometimes sell, the claim that we don't have arrears, they tried to deny during the press conference that we don't have arrears with Senegal. That is not true, that it was just payment processing delay. That was also demonstrably false. They claim that if OMVG project is done, there'll be no energy problem. That's false. The 120 megawatt power plant in Sambangalu, that alone will still not meet our energy needs in the Gambia, because a hydropower has variable output over the course of the year. One of the reasons why Guinea sometimes gets power from Senegal is that when you are in the month of April and May, at the very end of the dry season, the water reservoir behind the dam is lower, so your electricity production also falls. So the power output from hydropower, it's very good, it's clean energy, it is relatively cheaper, but it's also in a country where the river flow is based on rainfall, and rainfalls are highly variable. You also have that risk of water levels falling given in certain periods of the year. So it's a normal thing in Senegal, in Guinea, around April and May, just before the season starts. The water reservoir is very low, so their hydropower output actually tends to fall. Okay. That would in fact be a period when Guinea would import power from neighboring countries.
But you're saying that the biggest culprit in terms of spreading misinformation is the government.
It's the government, because what they've said many things that are demonstrably false, and this thing that the idea that Gambia actually sells power to Senegal is completely wrong information. It's easy to prove, because they will not. Our deficit is too big for us to sell. Where are we generating it from? I don't know. Maybe there's a secret generator in Mankamonkunda that we don't know about.
Or maybe we'll find out next Tuesday when the information minister is here.
Right. Let's see.
Thursday, the 11th of June 2026. You're with Coffee Time with Peter Gomez, and you're watching and listening to Dr. Usman Gagigo. You've just drawn parallels there between electricity and agriculture, both heavily reliant on imports. Right. Now, how does this dependence affect national resilience? Now, everything, there's resilience built into it. Even information workshop, you hear the word resilient and resilience used somewhere.
It is important. When you come to depend on something, it becomes an integral part. And if you are, if that supply is no longer reliable, there's no resilience in it, your whole infrastructure, your whole systems that are built upon it becomes very fragile. So obviously, but to address your question, there's it's a very clear parallel here. We all know food security, just like energy is important in our economic life. Food security is even more fundamental to survival. Yet, today, our staple being rice, we are still dependent on imports. But just like energy, we've had the means, not only the option, but it's feasible and within the means of this government to make sure that we are self-sufficient when it comes to rice.
We've tried that for 6 decades now.
Yes.
What's keeping us from getting there?
Yeah. It's a good point. Just like energy, the parallels go back.
Yeah.
The energy problems didn't start with NAWEC.
No.
Since GUC days.
Yes, 77.
Yes.
50 years old next year.
Exactly.
Older than Martin the cameraman, older than Aji, my co-presenter.
Indeed. No, it's true. There are many things that we've had as chronic problems, but they are still solvable. I would have sympathy for any government not solving a chronic problem if you are just within, let's say, a few years into your tenure.
2-3.
Yeah, or in your first term, maybe even your first term. But if you are at the end of your second term, a whole decade in, that excuse is available to others, but not to you. To address your question, yes, we have seen countries that are within the sub-region, forget about other parts of the world, within the sub-region, made significant progress in achieving self-sufficiency in their staple. We've seen Mali, we've seen Senegal, they've made massive progress. The problem here is, in the case of agriculture in the Gambia, we've actually gone backwards.
Oh
yeah, significantly.
Regressed.
We have a situation where we used to be highly productive in rice cultivation, about in the 90s, Gambia and Senegal had comparable levels of rice productivity. Now, we have the lowest rice productivity in all of ECOWAS.
Oh.
In all of ECOWAS, the average rice productivity...
There's empirical data to prove this.
Yes.
Yeah, because government always asks for empirical data.
Well, this data actually is from FAO, and that FAO data is supplied by the Ministry of Agriculture. So if you go to FAO stat and you look at the average productivity of rice over the past few years, per hectare, we get about 1 ton. The sub-regional average is over 2 tons. Senegal's average is over 4 tons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we've regressed backwards. There are things we could be doing. We all know what the constraints are. This is not, this is agriculture. We are not talking about any rocket science here. The constraints, I mean, even some of them can tell you what the constraints are. And I remember even one time the Minister of Agriculture mentioning one of the constraints, which is the high cost of land development. Yes, but you talk about it, but what has the government done about it? These are problems that we know do exist, but there are also solutions to them. And the problem here is that the problems are well known. The solutions to address them, just like in energy problems, they are well known. The problem is the will to execute. The will and the ability to execute. But when you have a leader who does not have a basic comprehension, understanding of the problem, and will believe any fairy tale that's been told him, it's going to be very difficult to make any progress on such problems.
Well, okay, you blame the leader, but you also, I suppose by extension, are blaming those around him on whom he depends.
Of course, to some extent.
So there isn't adequate or maybe even, relevant expertise around him.
Yes, but let's go to the ultimate, let's talk about why that is. The people who surround the president as advisors or in other positions,
including technical experts.
Yes. Yeah. Who appoints them?
He does.
So,
in other words, it's his choice who is around him.
Exactly. Because let's look at the energy sector. Who's the Minister of Energy? It's Nani Juara. Nani Juara was a technical staff in NAWEC for all his career. He was, at some point, I believe, in procurement, then deputy MD, then MD, and got promoted. In fact, I think it's a big question for Gambians to ask themselves, where is Nani Juara these days? He's missing in action because he has personal background in working in this state-owned enterprise that's directly responsible for energy, and he's currently the chief energy advisor to the president as the Minister of Energy.
He was busy signing a contract for oil exploration in the Gambia.
Well, let's hope they do a far better job in that than in energy. But so going back to your problem, yes, you could say to some level, maybe it's the quality of advice he's getting. But those people serve at the president's leisure and at the president's at the pleasure of the president. So if that advice is it's not productive, it's not good, again, I can excuse a government that's only in a few years into its term, maybe it's time to figure out who is competent, who is not. But after 10 years, by now there should be some sort of evaluation, by the leader to find out, hey, such and such advisors are doing a good job. We are meeting our development targets, while such and such advisors are not. Let's retain this, let's get rid of this. But when that's not happening, you cannot continue to blame advisors. You have to really blame. The ultimate responsibility is with the leader.
And on the issue of evaluation, what we really need to evaluate is how much money has been pumped into NAWEC since 2017 to date. I see figures floating around, figures in excess of $400 million, not dollars.
Yes.
I mean, you throw that much money at a problem and the problem is still not solved?
Well, then you have to ask yourself, are you throwing it in the right way? Yeah, I have not actually done the calculations myself, but the numbers sound about right. But, for me, there are key examples here. From one of the biggest missed opportunities here is you had this car power ship that was providing 30 megawatts, and over a 7-year contract, we paid over $200 million just to this one company. We still owe some money to them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we still owe some money to them.
So you see this $400 million?
Yeah.
I mean, it now looks small to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now you ask yourself.
Because you bring in what we have been paying to Senegal, what we have been paying to Guinea,
right?
What we have been paying to import spare parts and pay experts and all of that. All right. So there's that heavy investment in NAWEC energy. Mm-hmm. What about agriculture? What do you know about the investment in agriculture? Since we talk about, modernizing our agriculture, mechanizing.
Absolutely a lot. A lot. I mean, the amount I'm aware of that development partners have pumped into agriculture from 2017 to now is well over $200 million US. It's well over that.
We're speaking huge sums.
Huge sums. And some of them, again, like in energy, we have direct evidence that they have been wasted. Like money that has been coming, like a single project costing 500 million Gambian dollars that was supposed to develop rice cultivation in communities in CRR and URR. That money actually was given to a contractor who doesn't have the expertise, the capacity. Not only did, it would have been better if they just stayed at home and spent the money, but they actually took equipment to the rice fields and destroyed the rice fields.
Oh.
Took those people back. So that's how bad the situation have been. So just like a lot of this parallel between agriculture and energy goes quite deep. Just like we've wasted money, we talked about that 150 megawatt solar power plant. That money that will be spent on such a power plant, if it does come into fruition, is far less than what we spent on car power ship. And the ship has set sail. And that ship is only going to produce a fraction of what that power plant in Soma is supposed to produce.
What does this say about planning in the Gambia?
If we want to be very diplomatic, we'll say it requires a lot more work. Yeah, planning is a question of it goes beyond just planning. You have planning and execution, because when you come to energy, that's an energy strategy document.
Is it what they call the roadmap?
Yes, the roadmap.
Okay.
That roadmap, yes, talks a lot about buying energy, but there's also a generation component to it. But like many things, that document was drafted with funding from the World Bank, but then just because a development institution is going
and probably modeled on a different country, where the mindsets, would be different from what we have here.
Yeah.
Put Peter Gomez in power, the first thing he thinks about is develop himself. Second, develop himself. Third, develop himself. And if there's a fourth, develop his family.
There is, a lot of those things, obviously, your point is quite correct. A lot of these things, the World Bank will not tell you, go and appoint individual X, Y, and Z. No. This is the plan, it needs to be executed. The capacity, the competence of the people you appoint is up to you. But that plan is predicated on the government having the right personnel. So the documents are the easiest part. The execution of the project, its implementation, usually that's where the problem is. If you go and look at any of the sector strategies for agriculture, you have a similar issue. The documents are well written. Okay. On paper, they look fantastic. So the planning part it's not really the problem. It's the execution, taking a plan and putting it into action. It requires many things. But key among this always, as I always emphasize, is leadership. And that leader then has to make sure that the people or the individuals that they have in critical positions, they have the capability. They have the patriotism, they have the integrity and the capability to implement that project with high degree of fidelity to the plan that has been done. In energy, this has been missing because you have some aspects of the project that are quite clear on based on what the plan is, which is expanding access. But that document, if you read it, is quite clear that expanding access cannot happen in the absence of increased local generation. And there they actually talk about independent power producers coming in and generating power in the country. Yes, there is obviously the OMVG where there will be interconnection, but the point of interconnection is to increase the resilience so that if there is some, supply shortfall to meet our demand, we can meet it with, imports. Okay. But we decided that the best thing to do for political reasons is that increase access, campaign on it, because you can always count on Senegal, not realizing that there are global forces that can create shocks. that that will affect us. Just like in agriculture, if you just keep on depending on rice imports, and you have all sort of government projects helping imports, but you are not doing anything to address local production, there will be global shocks, and that will affect us. And we've seen this happen before. I remember a few years back more than 15 years ago, when rice exporting countries restricted exports. It can happen tomorrow.
It happened during the COVID, crisis.
Exactly.
India wasn't allowing its rice to leave.
Exactly. So, and it can happen any day. So, if that happens again, let's say tomorrow, what is going to happen to cost of living in the Gambia? What is going to happen to food security?
Well, it can only get worse. Huh?
It can only get worse. Yeah. So, the parallel between agriculture and energy is really deep, and it should be concerning to us.
And just finally, we are promised that by the 15th, by next Monday, the situation, if not wholly arrested, all right, will significantly improve. Do you believe them? On the other hand, we have Gala on standby.
Yes.
Just in case things don't, live up to expectation next Monday. And then we have the World Cup. I mean, yes, we may not have, qualified to take part in it, but, we're supposed to enjoy the World Cup.
Exactly. And I will join you into the street if the World Cup comes and there is no power. We will protest that.
Do you think this problem can be? Today's the 11th.
Yeah.
I mean, you've gone the whole night without electricity.
Right.
I have. I just said the same. I don't know about Martin. You listen carefully. You can hear the generator humming in the background.
Yes. No, I heard it when I came in. Yes.
Do you think this problem will be history by Monday to a large extent?
It's possible, but like I said, the only way over this very short time period this problem can be stopped is if Senegal increases. Because there is no other way. You can't import generators or parts over a short time period.
Well, the president is supposed to be going to Senegal, I think today. Today is Thursday, isn't it? He's supposed to be going
well, maybe we'll have a solution to
maybe you should give him a message to take along to Jomai Faye.
Yeah. Well, I'll just tell him, Mr. President, do all you have to do to have Senegal in the meantime increase their their supply of electricity to us. Anything but at the expense of our national interest. Personally, if he has to get on all fours, let him do it. I just hope we don't lose our sovereignty.
That will be a sight to behold. Our president on all fours before Jomai Faye.
I meant it metaphorically, but if it needs to be done literally, I would rather have that than miss a game of the World Cup.
Dr. Gagigo, thank you so very much for coming.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
That was Dr. Usman Gagigo sharing his insights on the Gambia's electricity crisis and the urgent need for solutions.
A better way to pay your UTG fees with instant proof of payment and real-time student portal update. Paying your University of the Gambia fees has never been easier or more convenient. With EcoBank, students, parents and guardians can pay UTG tuition and related fees through our secure digital banking channels such as EcoBank mobile app, EcoBank Online and EcoBank OmniLite. Once payment is completed, instant proof of payment is generated and the UTG student portal is updated in real time, allowing students to proceed immediately with registration, course selection and clearance without unnecessary delays, while giving parents and guardians peace of mind that payments have been successfully processed. How to pay via the EcoBank mobile app. Open the EcoBank mobile app and navigate to the home screen. Select Pay Bill, choose Pay a New Bill and select Schools from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. How to pay via EcoBank Online or OmniLite. Log in to EcoBank Online and OmniLite using your credentials. Select the menu and choose Bill Payments. Choose Quick Bill Pay and select School from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. Walk into any EcoBank branch or pay through our digital channels and enjoy instant proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Vif lay fay. Sant yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.